And now to our discussion, foreign trade report from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria exported agricultural goods worth 1.23 trillion naira in 2023. This figure represents an increase of 53% from the 583.3 billion naira recorded in 2022. Despite this rise, economy watchers and experts say the export potential of the country very far outweighs the current export. Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service is the organization responsible for preventing the introduction, establishment and spread of exotic pests and diseases of all agricultural products in the international trade. How is this going and how poised is Nigeria for increased exports? We hope to get answers from our guest, Dr. Vincent Isegbe, the Director General of the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much. Good
to Okay, beautiful.
Let me start by congratulating you on your
appointment as the Director General of the Quarantine Service.
Thank you. I'm grateful to His Excellency, Mr. President, for the approval for my second tenure as DG Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service. I know it's a big task, but by the special grace of God, we will not fail the nation.
Well, as the country struggles to increase exports and reduce imports of food and other agricultural produce, how is the agency ensuring we meet global standards?
Well, the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service is poised to doing the best for the country in terms of agricultural exports. We know we have some challenges which we are addressing. Part of the major challenge we have is the national awareness that has to do with export of agricultural commodities. As it is, we all know that export is not an all-commerce affair. We need specialists and people who do know what export is all about to be engaged in export of agricultural produce. We have challenges with our certification, and that is basically as a result of the fact that most of the key players do not know what and how they should go about this to ensure that they have seamless export. But these are things that we are bringing to bear on those who are involved to have increased export drive for the nation. If you see the volume of export that is going on, you see, you agree with us that Nigerians are key to improving the volume of the export of agricultural produce that they have. Currently, if you take the case of hibiscus, in just the first 3 months of the year, over 800 million metric tons have been exported. 8,000 metric tons have been exported already in the first quarter. And this is at the end of the season for hibiscus export, really. So we are doing well, but we can do better.
Okay, I understand there was a particular time that there were issues with rejecting Nigeria's exports, and there was a committee set up to actually address this issue. You've been reappointed. How far so far with this particular committee, and when do we expect to see their work put in action?
Yes, there have been committees set up by the federal government. There's a zero reject committee which was brought in to bring in all the critical stakeholders to see how we can synergize and do better in the approach of export. This is important because we felt that other agencies of government have one role or the other to play, and we want to bring everybody to the table, especially this single window that we have that has to do with export, that everybody will have to come to one table so that we have more seamless export and reduce the clearance time that is at the table. That's the reason for bringing critical stakeholders, agencies of government on the table. However, we need to further streamline this number of agencies to the very critical ones that are essential. I'm aware that a lot of exporters are complaining on the time needed for them to process their export. The office of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council is working hard on this together with other government agencies to ensure that the time necessary to process an export is minimal, and that is what we are doing at this particular point in time. But I must say that the heads of the various agencies involved, we are working and at various levels to ensure that our subordinate officers imagine and expect, that this thing should be done at very short period of time so that people can export as much commodities as they can. That is what we are currently doing right now. Okay. The second issue that we need to address is the processing for the agricultural commodities for export. A lot of times the process are not being observed, and then when commodities come for export to the export desk, inspection desk, we, the quarantine service, reject such, and that is not good for the exporter because he has not followed the rules. One other major issue I want to bring to the attention of Nigerians is that it is not all the agricultural products that we export that are bad. No, it is not the product itself. But you have a lot of concealment. That is, an export commodity has been inspected and certified, and somebody goes along the line to put another commodity inside. That is why at the end of the day, the entire commodity with the concealed commodity are rejected.
But is there no punishment for that?
Well, there are. We are identifying who.
Why are we not implementing the punishment?
We identify those who are doing the concealment. We have an issue with clearing and forwarding agents which we are addressing. We have tried to trace some of the people who have done that, and they are not on the list of clearing and forwarding agents. So we are discussing with Korean. There's a regulatory body for freight and forwarding clearing agents. It's an agency of government. We are discussing with them, and even the clearing and forwarding agents themselves, so that we can have them enlisted on our website. If we don't see that you are a certified clearing and forwarding agent, we will not allow you to do business with us, because we have realized that the major challenges are coming from there. When we want to prosecute, those addresses are not found.
Okay. So now talking about acceptability, still talking about acceptability of our own export, what's the situation regarding European ban on Nigerian dry beans as well as fish in the United States?
Yeah, thank you. I know that question will come up concerning the dry beans issue. The dry beans issue, we've done a lot of work on it. We've done a national survey across the country, warehouses, marketplaces, and the farm gates. From the research, we found out that at the farm gate level, there are minimal or no level of pesticide contamination at all, because the farmer has produced and he wants to sell. The contamination comes about at the level of the wholesalers and then the aggregators. Now, what we are doing at this point is that the quarantine has established what we call the export certification value chain, where 5 critical operators are involved. The farmers, producers themselves, they are the first level. They are registered, and they will now ensure that they follow all the rules. They know what chemicals they applied, where they bought it from, and who they are selling it to. And the person they will sell it to is the supplier. The supplier too is equally registered, and he knows how to label, how to take all the piece of information from the producer, who will now eventually pass it on to the major exporter. Now the exporter will not buy from any person apart from the accredited seller. In buying from him, he has all the details of the chemical used, when it was applied, to what quantity, level, labels, and what have you, so that at the point of inspection and certification, there is traceability. We are doing that commodity by commodity to ensure that every other person falls in line. It's important that we do this. And so far, so good. From the result that we're getting is fine. Now, what is left for us at this point is to translate that to now the EU, for them to know that we have gone through this and we're ensuring that whatever amount of beans that are getting is safe. Now, where we have challenges now is that even while the quarantine service is doing all that, at the public domain, in the local markets, they're seeing information that people are still using sniper, and they are hearing this, and it's not too good for us as a nation. That is why it's important that as a nation, we must necessarily, even the food that we consume, make sure that they go through strict food safety measures alongside those that they are exporting. because the international community may believe that if we are stringent on the one we export, how about the local commodity that we eat in the country?
But what are we actually doing about the local one? Because I still believe, I also agree that if it's something that we actually apply within the country, so it will be difficult to actually apply it so that we will get to be the standard outside.
Yes, we are working on that as well, but you know the quarantine is bending itself backwards out of its own mandate to do that. The mandate for the quarantine specifically is to focus on export imports. So, but we are discussing and liaising with the producers who happen to be within the states that they follow exactly what we are doing for the export and then ensure that these things are minimized. Part of what we are doing too is to sponsor awareness programs, campaigns, jingles in local languages, in Pidgin English, and even on radio too, in the zonal FICL radio stations to pass this information across. It's a responsibility of every Nigerian to ensure that they buy safe, wholesome food. That food that they can eat and nobody will fall sick as a result of eating it. And that's why we encourage every Nigerian to be part of this system, that when you see people using wrong pesticides or sniffer in the open market associations, market unions should discourage that, as well as every other person who is a Nigerian and who buys from the open market.
Okay, you've talked about you've made progress with hibiscus. Which other crop have we actually made a breakthrough or progress?
We are working, we've done a lot of work on beans. We are working on ginger and many other commodities too. Vegetables is one of our flagship export produce. Even currently now, we have people who want to export as much as 10 metric tons of vegetables per week. But we are not able to harvest that much from the farmers, because for the farmers to be able to sell, they have to have their farm certified. So those are the processes that we are putting in place. And that's why I said earlier on that a lot of processes will have to come into play for every exporter to be able to export. There are large water bodies in the country, along the river banks, along rivers within the country, that we want to encourage state governments to bring in farmers who want to do vegetable export. For as much as we can produce vegetables, there's market for it overseas. As much as we can produce, there's the market.
Okay, now that you've been reappointed, how do you see Nigeria's exports of agricultural produce in the coming years, and what are the plans for improvement?
I can assure Nigeria that we have a very huge market for our export. Every agricultural produce that we can produce in the country is exportable, from okra to sugarcane to sweet potatoes to vegetables, any crop, ginger, turmeric, we can produce and we can export. What we are encouraging Nigerians is that let us do it the right way. Other countries are making a lot of money from export. And now that we're having challenges from oil, why don't we go back to our first love, which is agricultural export? And we have the potential. We have the human resources. We have 213 million Nigerians that can be deployed, as farmers. We have that population too is good for us, because other countries who want to sell produce to us, we can equally sell to them. So it's good market for us as a country. So we, as an agency of government responsible for the inspection and certification, we are ready. All we want is that let the farmers, let the wholesale sellers, let the exporters, together with state government, let's all join hands and export as much as we can, because the market is there. The number of Nigerians in diaspora is massive.
Okay.
And you agree with me too that Nigerian food is becoming of international interest. You talk of our jollof rice, you talk of our kilishi, you talk of our fura de nono. These are things that people want to taste, that they don't have in their country. And my brother, let me tell you something. Our banana is the sweetest in the international market.
Wow.
It's not GMO. The natural banana we produce in this country is the sweetest, and it can earn premium. The only thing we need to do is to package it very well. That's all that we need in the country.
Okay. Dr. Vincent Esegbe, thank you very much, Director General of Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, and we wish you the best of luck in your objective to make Nigeria's export better.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.